just randomly start talking on the radio. Sorry, my job is outside, making this event kind of go smoothly. I'm not very good at it, but I try. Next, welcome to Insert Live Edition 2. We did this.
This is the second time we've done this. The first time we did it at the Airsoft camp, it went really well because we actually got to have questions from you guys instead of pulling them out of a hat. So, wave everybody. You're on Evike TV. Yeah.
How many saw last week's episode? That's it?
How many of you guys saw last week's episode? Raise your hands.
That's a good amount. All right, so we made a bet of how many campers would be in line, and these two thought they could outsmart me. I knew exactly how many people would be here because I've been doing this for 3 years. And I won.
I've been doing this for a while.
Obviously I won. You were definitely going to lose.
130. Matt guessed 130 people would be waiting in line.
On Friday, he's right.
Wednesday, he
was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I put out a call to arms for everybody to show up, but then I didn't realize that it was going up. No. I didn't realize it wasn't going up until...
The video wouldn't go up until Wednesday.
Yeah. So it made no difference. Like, I'm asking you guys for help and no one was going to see it. But,
well done.
So now we had to wear our dumb hats.
So,
mission
let's just get the party rolling before I get
interrupted. All right, so yeah, I guess let's get underway. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? All right, how about right here in front?
Have you ever thought of actually using an RC as a simulated RC car, RCXD?
Okay, so the question is, have we ever thought about using an actual RC or remote-controlled vehicle, car, any sort of remote-controlled device in an airsoft game as a simulated explosive device, right? George?
I've never thought of that, but it's a great idea. And I think we might have to try this because I know Matt likes a little bit of RC from time to time. I think this could be a fun project.
So to answer your question, from my point of view, yes, I've thought about it. I have an off-road RC car that I think would be perfect. The great thing about an RC truck is it can go anywhere. The two things you're going to run into are, A, I can control it, but how do I see where it's going outside of my view? So that means I got to attach a camera to it, and I got to get the camera's view back to me. And the second thing is, if I have a remote detonated explosive, what would the explosive be for airsoft? So do I have it be a claymore, or do I have it be something like a tripwire grenade, like a Thunderbeat? And you could do that using like a servo. You could attach it to a wire and have it pulled, and you could remote detonate that from your remote device. As long as you're not in the same frequency as other RC devices in the area, like if somebody else is using a remote controlled 50 cal or something, you have no problem. So as long as you're in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, you're not using AM, FM crystals, because those have a limited range, totally doable. We just got to work out the visual system. With everybody doing quadcopters now, I feel like it'd be really easy to do. Anybody else? Question? Sorry.
That was like a mouthful, man. Like, I have a follow-up. You have a follow-up question? All right, we'll do the follow-up question first, and we'll do your question.
Do you want to come out?
Yeah. At Target, actually, they have these little drone or like RC tanks that are 2.4 gigahertz, and they have a camera built onto them with infrared lights and stuff, so you can see in the dark and everything. Goes back to a 4-inch little screen on your controller, and I mounted it to my wrist. So I'll have my friend drive it, and I'll just be like watching on my wrist, and you can pivot the camera and everything.
How far is the range?
150 yards.
150 yards?
Yeah, and it was like $50.
So there's your solution. Where can you get it?
Target.
Okay, so I guess Target has a remote controlled tank that already has a screen built in.
Yeah.
Just figure out a device to put on top of it.
I mean, honestly, I'd buy that, cut it up, and put it on an RC truck.
Yeah, it's like their spy type stuff, you know? That's where I saw it, and I had to get it right away.
So everybody here will develop RC tanks next game, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
No, thank you. Next question.
Strawberry or grape on Crustables?
Grape. We always buy strawberry and grape.
No, we buy grape. Like, if I'm buying it, it's just grape. It's no strawberry at all.
Yeah, and the grape disappears first, and if we have strawberry, people like reluctantly eat that.
Yeah, they're like, I guess I'll have an Uncrustables.
I don't like the Nutella flavor.
Yeah, those are horrible.
Those are terrible. Yeah. Another question. What's up?
What is your best Milsim moment?
Best Milsim moment.
Okay, question is, what is our best Milsim moment?
I mean, I have a few. I do have one that I actually got on camera where I took out a bunch of dudes and I felt proud about it. Because it was at Lion Claws last year, and we were driving around the Humvee. I was in the passenger seat, and I'm like looking out my window. I see my friend Todd, and I see him with 2 other dudes on the edge of this building, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, just enter the building. Just go. I'm like, all right. So I go out there. I'm like, so what's going on? They're like, oh, there's some dudes around the corner. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So the guy hands me a grenade. He's like, I'm like, you want me to throw it or you want to throw it? He's like, no, you can throw it. I'm like, all right. So I just tucked it in. We took out the building. There was like 6 dudes or something like that. And I just go back in the truck. And I was like, I understand it. So that was fun. That was more recent. Maybe I'll put the clip up. I have it somewhere. I just have to find it.
So there is GoPro footage we have somewhere of my best and worst Milsim moments combined.
Yes. Who's
We
this?
were at a John Liu event at Irene. And Irene, at the time we were doing this, was at Zussman, which is a fantastic
I will be out in about 10
training
minutes. Stand by,
facility.
okay?
The Irene op is...
I'll be outside. I'm in the store right now.
The Irene op is made to kind of replicate the
go ahead, Sam.
the events that were happening during the Black Hawk Down crisis. And
Sam,
so
go ahead, send
there's a set of apartments on Zussman, and there's a street separating them. There's 2 rows of lime green or like spearmint green apartments.
Okay,
and Jet and I decided that we were going to go across the street and clear out these apartments. So we request covering fire from the guys around us, and immediately full-on headlong rush across the street. We had agreed before going across the street that we would hit one doorway, and that doorway we're going to push in with as much force as we needed to. There's a thing in airsoft, well, there's a thing in combat called violence of action. You can usually overcome an opposition force sheerly by being more aggressive than they are. So we decided that we were going to hit this one door. And I'm the first to the door. And I kicked the door in. And I think the words that came out of my mouth were, "Freedom, mother."
Sorry, Maria. That's wrong, Maria. Sorry.
And I shot the first person that was in my field of view. Unfortunately, not only was he not an airsofter, he was an in-game player that was a civilian.
That's what we do. We shoot at the same game. Go ahead.
So all he sees is me kicking the door and going, "Freedom," and shooting him in the face.
What's up?
So
Dude,
both
Lion Claws is here. Go help him.
my most epic Milsim kick of door and clearing of a room, unfortunately, I killed an innocent man. And I felt really bad about that.
Just to roll off a tangent, at the same game, we were at the night game, and I was shooting in this building, and they had like a bunch of civvies like rolling around on bicycles, and one of them went like, I was already shooting, and he just decided he was gonna go into my line of fire, and I popped him like right in the head. And what was funny about it is he just didn't even miss a beat. He's like, oh, and he fell over. I'm just like, oh man,
I think we find that a lot of the in-game players have more fun than guys playing actual airsoft because they get to act the whole time and dress up and be part of like the game. And so can't wait till we get to sign up as NPCs. But
sorry to interrupt.
What is the most fun you've had in a non-Milsim moment? Like totally crazy and wacky, no rules.
There to leave.
Okay, well, mine was more recent. We were at Warped Ops. You guys might remember a video Jet uploaded. This was for, was it Halloween last year? No. We dressed up, and I dressed up like a Spartan.
The tags game at Warped Ops.
And I don't know, we were working on a Spartan uniform for our shields because I wanted to do a testudo video with all the shields in like a phalanx kind of. But I worked on this costume and I had nowhere to wear it. So Jet asked me if I wanted to dress up. I said, sure, why not? So we started horsing around because we're all dressed up in stupid costumes. I started yelling for Sparta at everybody on the field. And I think it was confusing both because people were like, why are these guys dressed up? And it totally gave my position away. So I'm running around screaming at people on the field and just getting lit up because everyone knew exactly where I was the whole time. Yeah, plus when you're running around with a huge red cape, you don't blend in very well.
I never dressed up like that for Airsoft. I wanted to, I just don't. My friends have done it before, like a Jedi costume and run around being ridiculous. I normally don't do that, but maybe I should sometime. If we decided to do a testudo video, though, that would be...
We're all going to be wearing red mohawks.
Yeah, no, for sure. we'd strap on, I don't know, I think we sell them here that they could go on your helmet and like do like the mutton chop things on the arc rails and all that. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, do you guys have another question? I think you had one.
What is the worst airsoft-related injury you've ever received?
We've actually been pretty good. I almost, before Jet hurt himself at Blue Heron, I almost put my foot down a manhole that would have probably hurt really bad. But luckily I missed. I stepped down and then you see this hole about the size of my foot. And so if I would have went down there, I probably would have broken a leg or something like that. But luckily I didn't. That could have been bad.
It's funny that
that's when I started looking around and paying attention is when I noticed that.
It's funny you bring up the Jets. How many of you guys have all seen the Jet electrical tape Fantastic Recovery? Okay, so funny story. Jet and I were actually in that video. You can see we're running together. And him and I were back to back on the second floor of that building. Or actually it ended up being like the third floor. But I got shot and I went down and that's when he took off. Well, I didn't realize that he had gone down that way. I didn't know which way he went because I was dead. So I waited for my bleed out time and I was walking back to spawn. I actually fell through the same hole he did. The thing is, because it was a rectangle, opposite legs of ours fell through. And I got lucky and I didn't fall through the same jagged edge. But I skinned my shin, and I was like, oh, this is so bad, you know. And I'm trying to compare my war story to his, but I think the worst injury I've ever had was I was shot, and this is before I used Lower Face Pro.
There was something that was shipped.
I was using goggles that were just like sunglasses, and they were a full seal, but it was one of those close calls where the round hit me right on the bridge of the nose. And I didn't realize it at first, but it actually popped a blood vessel right on the edge of my nose. But you know when you get hit, you kind of flinch and you're like, oh, that kind of hurt. But I kept playing, and I rounded a corner, and somebody kind of stopped me and they're like, hey man, you're bleeding. I was like, oh, no big deal, I'll just wipe it off. But there was blood everywhere. Like the whole lower half of my face was covered in blood. So I did I think the same thing we all would do, and I just tucked my shemagh up between my goggles and kept going. But I think that's the worst injury, blood-wise, was the worst. Yeah. I got shot in the crotch once, point blank, with a Dan Wesson. That was awesome.
I can't do that right now.
I was guarding a door. We put up a table against the door.
I'm filming right now.
Somebody kicked in the table and reached in, like popped one off. I kind of moved in front of my pal to block him. I was done for the day. I think that was the worst. Yeah. Another question? But Blue Hat, I think you were next.
Can you come in? If you had to pick any animal trait to use in an airsoft game, what would it be?
Okay, if you had to pick any animal trait in airsoft game,
animal trait?
Animal trait, like
trait?
Yeah.
I'd say climbing would probably be the most, like a monkey or something would be like. I know my name's George, but I know that sounds kind of like ironic. Both George of the Jungle and Curious George. Yeah, I'd say a monkey.
Okay. I would say, I mean, big cats are known for their silence. So I think stealth for me would be like, if I had like a panther's stealth to be able to just sneak up on anybody, I think that'd be pretty cool. Or like a cat tongue and just like, I don't know why. Another question? Right here in front.
What airsoft moment has caused you to grow the most as an airsofter?
What have you
What
learned
airsoft
the most?
moment?
That's a really good question.
What moment in airsoft has caused us to grow the most? I think that's a pretty universal question. I feel like we all have probably had a moment that that kind of changed our thinking and maybe modified the way we play. How about you?
Red Storm 2. This is years ago. Me and my friends were just like, it was towards the end of the day on Sunday, everybody gets really lazy. And so we're just like chilling at this building we thought was safe, and we ended up like just getting rolled from behind by like two dudes with pistols. Like straight up killing all 9 of us. Just because we were just like leaning up against the wall, chilling, just talking. And we got all lit up from that. And I think at that point we realized, okay, maybe we should pull security or like everybody looking some way. Like we really got to focus. Like you can't do that till you're off the field. Unless you don't care about getting hit, which we don't. But that I learned a lot from that. What else?
I think the biggest thing for me was learning to not take things so seriously. When I first started, I started on a CQB team that mission number one was win. And it was kind of like a win at all costs situation. So my training with this team was devoted to just winning. And while that made me a very effective airsofter, it kind of took the fun out of it. Because every time I went to play, I was just like, okay, well, if I'm not winning, I'm not having fun. And I think the big thing for me is there was a competition we were in where
he still likes to win, though. Let's put that out there.
But
he doesn't like to lose.
I learned to have fun and
lose.
Get over the whole winning is the only thing. I learned to be able to horse around and to have a good time, and it's not, just a serious thing. This is a fun sport, and I think the moment that kind of changed that for me was I met a group of guys, at a Milsim event that I went to that all they do is horse around.
Are you referring to my guys?
And, they're at a serious event when everybody's taking things very seriously, and there's a whole group of guys that just know how to have a good time. And I think hanging out with those guys, kind of taught me to let go and not be so...
You're talking about me?
All the regulators, you guys are able to goof around. And that taught me a lot. Another question. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Airsoft is a worldwide sport. I was just wondering if you could set up a Milsim event anywhere in the world, where would you set it up at?
This is the last question, by the way, guys.
One more.
Okay, one more after this.
Okay, one more after this question. Okay, so the question is, if we could set up an airsoft event anywhere in the world, where would we? George, where would you go?
I would go back to Blue Heron. I really would.
Okay.
Because I know that we can't go back, but I would. That's the one place I thought was the craziest place I've ever been to. The fear of hurting myself or dying was pretty high. Moreover than the airsoft part, I mean, that really pumped your adrenaline up, and especially even in the dark, it was even worse. So I'd do that.
Okay,
for sure.
I think for me, after
just let him make the announcement.
Parked in our parking lot. License plate numbers. Please move it. You are double parked.
Whoever you are, you're famous now.
Yeah, and everybody has your license plate number.
If I've learned anything from watching some of the European airsoft videos and seeing all the amazing fields they have in both England and Russia and just all over Europe, and a lot of those are the result of wartime, and it's unfortunate that those structures even had to exist. But the fact that they do and they're accessible, I would love to play airsoft there. I mean, we just don't have that here. Once in a while, we'll get a decommissioned military base, and that's cool, but it's nothing like. Okay.
Huh.
So radiation.
That is definitely one that's actually out there.
That's like okay, guys, we got 5 minutes and then we're out. All right. Let's go.
Question.
One last question. Who hasn't asked a question yet?
The guy in the pink shirt seems like he really wants this question. This better be
have you asked
an amazing question.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you and Jet are going to be jousting tomorrow?
Yes.
Can we get some predictions from both you and George, and do it in what would the headline be after the jousting? Let's do a kind of fun thing with it.
What would the headline be?
Okay, so the headline from the joust.
Trying to do it as a headline.
There's two things that they're gonna joust, and then there's a dual pit with 6mm grenade launchers, and outside that's the big structure right next to it. So they're gonna do both. Now, the tagline will be balls to balls.
That's a terrible headline.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's because I know both of them will just they're gonna try to shoot each other in the lower region with the foam ball.
This is true.
Versus trying to shoot him here. No, it's gonna be down there. So that I'm gonna say balls to balls.
Okay. For both of them?
Yeah, for both. And I think even when they're jousting, they're gonna go for low blows.
Okay.
legs, and upper torso or lower torso regions,
Okay.
groin areas.
So a headline, and this is post fight.
See, I have no stake in this, so I mean, I don't even think I'll be around to watch it.
I have to be a realist here.
Don't portray yourself
He's
short.
he's like a spider monkey. I don't know how. Like he's like really agile.
All you have to do is he has a little bit of just distract him with something.
Okay.
I believe that you can win. I believe.
Headline.
Matt loses.
Pretty much. Like,
no.
I think it'd be something like in the duel of the year, friend versus friend face off. Someone's getting nailed in the face. 'Cause that'll probably happen too. It's gonna be a short match. Watch. It'll be like 10 seconds. Is that it?
Yeah, George is putting on his gloves. George has to go back to work. You can still answer questions if you want.
Well, George is leaving.
I'm sorry,
if you guys
guys.
want to hang out, like I can answer questions, but I think we're gonna finish with the inserts.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for participating in our second live episode.
I apologize. I really have a lot of work to do for you guys tomorrow still, and I mean a lot of work. Make sure you guys go out and get chips and drinks and stuff like that. Play on the video game truck. We might load up the police simulator later tonight. We'll see if I have time to do it, and if not, you can do it tomorrow. So, and who's camping? Out of curiosity, a lot of people. There'll be some stuff going on later. I promise you.